Welcome back, all my fight fans. Today I'm going to be giving you guys my predictions for UFC 317 coming up this Saturday, June 28th in Las Vegas. I'm incredibly excited for this fight card. It's one of the best ones all year, at least on paper. Like I said, can't judge a card until it happens, but I'm incredibly excited to break this fight card down for you guys today. As always, I'll go through the early prelims, and main cards. If you guys want to skip around, there will be timestamps down below in the description. If you guys like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends to help boost this channel in the algorithm. And with that all out of the way, let's get into the predictions. Kicking us off with the first fight of the night, we have an incredible fight between Niko Price and Jacoby Smith. This is going to be fun. In fact, I'm predicting this to be a first-round knockout for Jacoby Smith because he has a record of 10-0. He's undefeated. He has 8 wins by knockout, and 7 of them have come in the first round, including his first fight in the UFC, which took place in January. He got a first-round KO, whereas Niko Price, on the other hand, still has a pretty impressive record. 16-8, 10 wins by knockout, 3 by submission, and 4 coming in the first round. And if you've ever seen Niko Price fight before, which if you watch prelims and early prelims, you probably have in fight nights, he's an incredibly fun fighter. He goes out there and he brawls right from the get-go. He tends to get into scraps, which is why I'm calling this a first-round knockout for Smith. I think looking at his record so far, I think he's going to get this done rather quickly. So moving on, we have a heavyweight bout between Renato Diniz and Alvin Hines. Now, I don't know too much about this Alvin guy. He doesn't even have a picture right now on the UFC website, so I don't know too much on him, but I do know Diniz. In fact, I even saw him fight live, I think, when the UFC was in Edmonton. I believe he was on that fight card. But he has a record of 8-1, 7 wins by knockout, 6 coming in the first round, so a very high knockout percentage, and obviously a lot in the first round there. So he has a lot of power in his hands. He's closing in at a minus 340 favorite, so I'm going to take him to win, again, by first round KO. I think the night's going to kick off with 2 first round KOs. That's not incredibly common. It's pretty rare, but I think that's what's going to happen here because we have 2 knockout artists who are pretty big favorites going up against guys who, well, at least in Niko Price, likes to brawl. So we'll see how that plays out. Next up, we have our early prelims headliner, which is a middleweight bout between Syracuse Dumas and Jackson McKeevy. So let's move on now to the regular prelims. Kicking off our regular prelims, we have a lightweight bout between Terrence McKinney and Vyacheslav Borashev, and this is going to be a really, really fun fight. This could be fight of the night if it doesn't end in an early KO, which it might for McKinney, because he has a record of 16-7, 8 wins by knockout, 8 by submission, and 15 coming in the first round. That means pretty much all of those finishes came in the first round besides one of them, which is crazy. McKinney always brings it. He's an incredibly fun fighter to watch, and a lot of people thought that he was a hot prospect that might be contending for a belt, but he's had a couple stumbles here and there along his way. Not to say that he's completely counted out from winning a belt at some point in the future, but I'm excited to see him rebound and have a great fight here against Vyacheslav Borashev. Slava Claus is his nickname. That's an awesome nickname. He has a record of 8-5-1, 6 wins by knockout, 3 coming in the first round. So this should be a striking masterpiece. I hope it goes all 3 rounds, but if I'm being honest, Terrence McKinney has that it factor. He has a little bit more pop in his punches, and I think he can get this done by knockout. I'm not going to call it first round knockout because I've done that too many times already. I'm going to go second round knockout, actually, because I think Borashev is a pretty high level striker, and he probably will be able to get out of the first round. In the second round, though, if McKinney can put the pressure on and find his shots, I think he has the capabilities of knocking Borashev out. So we're going to go second round KO for that fight. Moving on, we have a women's fight. This is the only women's fight on the card for those of you who use those as bathroom breaks. I think this is a pretty fun one. We have the number 8th ranked Vivian Araujo versus Tracy Cortez, who is ranked number 10. Cortez is closing in at a minus 225 favorite, and she has a record of 11-2 with 1 win by knockout and 1 win by submission. So not the most entertaining fighter out there. She only has 2 finishes, 1 of each, and most of her fights go to decision. But I do think this will be a fun fight because, on the other hand, Vivian Araujo is a lot of fun. She's had a lot of high-level fights in the UFC so far. She stays very active, and she's a very fun striker. She has a record of 13-6, 3 wins by knockout, 4 by submission, and 4 wins coming in the first round. So even though Cortez is the favorite here, I'm going to take Araujo because she has wins over some pretty high-level fighters. She has losses to people like Grasso and Caitlin Chukagian, but she just came off of a win over Silva not the super talented Silva. She lost to her. That girl's going to challenge for the belt, and she might even beat Shevchenko. I'm talking about the other Silva with the big frizzy hair. She's also very, very talented and a very young fighter, I believe, too, if I recall correctly. And she just got a win over her at the end of 2024. So I hope to see her bounce back and take out Tracy Cortez. I'm not the biggest fan of Tracy Cortez, to be honest with you. Her personality just rubs me the wrong way. So I'm going to hope here for a knockout by Arajo. But if I'm predicting the fight, I'm going to have to go with a decision because it's a women's fight and it's at, flyweight. There's not a ton of knockouts at that weight class unless it's Shevchenko or someone like that. So I'm going to go Arajo by decision in this one. Then we have a featherweight bout between Haider Amil and Jose Miguel Delago. Now, this fight, I'm actually going to call to be fight of the night. I know that there's a lot of great fights on this fight card, some bigger names, and maybe you guys don't know these two fighters. I'm not the most familiar with them myself, but I've seen them both fight a couple times, and they absolutely bring it. So Haider Amil has a record of 11-0. He's undefeated. He has 6 wins by knockout, 1 by submission, and 2 wins coming in the first round. So he's an incredibly exciting fighter. And on the other hand, you have another incredibly exciting fighter in Jose Miguel Delgado, who has a record of 9-1, 5 wins by knockout, 4 by submission, and 6 coming in the first round. So mark this fight on your little card there, because this will be a fun fight. I can guarantee it. Some people might skip this fight because they don't know who these fighters are, but this is what I'm calling to be fight of the night. We'll see how it all plays out, but I'm incredibly excited for this featherweight bout. So let's move on now to the main fight on the prelims, which is a middleweight bout between Jack Hermansson and Gregory Rodrigues. And Jack Hermansson, always a fun fighter, always brings it. He's always a game guy, but he's getting a little bit up there in age. I think he's 38 or 39 now, so I don't really see him winning this fight, but he has a record of 24-8. 11 wins by knockout, 6 by submission, and 10 wins coming in the first round. So he can get it done against absolutely anybody. He's been a little bit on and off recently in the last couple years, whereas Gregory Rodrigues, he's always in a fun fight. RoboCop is one of the funnest fighters on the entire roster. He has a lot of power. He's always coming forward, keeps his hands down a little bit, which gets him into trouble sometimes, but he's a very, very exciting fighter. He has a record of 16-6 with 10 wins by knockout, 3 by submission, and 7 coming in the first round. So because Jack's a little bit older, but he's a wily veteran with a lot of experience, and he's shown in the past that he has a pretty decent chin, I'm going to take Gregory Rodrigues by second round KO in this one because he has too much power, I think, for old man Jack. I would love to see Jack wrap up a submission. That would be really, really fun to see, but I think we're going to see Rodrigues by KO, and I'm going to go with round 2. So now, finally, let's move on to the main card. Kicking off our main card, we have a bout between 2 bantamweight prospects, the young and surging Peyton Talbot, who is 9-1, 7 wins by knockout, 1 by submission, and 1 first-round finish, versus Felipe Lima, who, going into this fight, I was going to take Talbot, to be completely honest with you guys, because he's looked so good in his fights, knocking people out, one-shot KOs. His last fight against an old, crafty, wily veteran who just understood the ground game way better. He kind of took him down, dragged him out, and got a decision win there. Sucks to see that. Sucks to see a fighter lose his oath. But going into this, I was really high on Talbot. But then I looked at Lima, and I looked at some of his old fights. Now, he's 14-1, so a slightly better record than Peyton Talbot. He has 4 wins by knockout, 3 by submission, and 5 in the first round. So looking back on Lima, especially that last fight that he had against Johns, I think he's actually going to get it done in this one, but this is going to be an incredibly fun fight. I'm really, really excited for this one because you have 2 surging, up-and-coming prospects at bantamweight. Both have really good records, only 1 loss each, and I think this is going to be a really, really fun fight. But I'm going to take Lima by decision in it. I can't take this by finish because I think both fighters are just too talented, but it could go by finish either way. Like Lima could get a knockout or a submission. Talbot can get a knockout. We know that from him. He's got so many one-shot KOs already in his career. So it's going to be a really, really fun fight. Definitely circle that one. And, you can circle all the fights on this card. There's so many amazing fights. Like this next one at flyweight, we have the number 1 ranked Brandon Royval versus the number 11th ranked, fighting just one pay-per-view after. He just fought 30 days ago, the 23-year-old Joshua Van, who is quickly becoming one of my favorite fighters on the entire UFC roster, as I'm sure he is for many of you guys watching as well. He's just constantly staying active. He's a very fun fighter, very boxing-heavy style, always throwing punches, always moving forward. He never backs down, so I'm a big, big fan of Joshua Van. but he's taking on the number 1 ranked Brandon Royval, who has a record of 17-7, 4 wins by knockout, 9 wins by submission, and 10 coming in the first round. And he just upset a huge prospect at this weight class, who's I think a year older than Joshua Van, or maybe 2 years older, Tatsuro Taira. It was a very, very close fight. Don't get me wrong. It was a split decision, and I'm a big fan of Taira. I'm still looking at him to maybe become a future champion in this division. I really like that kid, but Joshua Van, he's got to look out, because these up-and-coming prospects, sometimes they think they're going to roll over Royval, and then Royval, busts out that veteran quality and he gets it done. He's a very crafty fighter, and he definitely could win this fight. But Joshua Van, on the other hand, is 14-2, 7 wins by knockout, 2 wins by submission, 2 in the first round, and I'm taking him to win this fight by decision. I just think that he has more volume, more energy. He's just coming off of a fight. He was kind of already in the motion of things. He's staying active. I think that that's a really good thing for a fighter. You look at Muay Thai fighters over in Thailand, and they're fighting every weekend, sometimes multiple times every weekend. I think that's a good thing to keep in fighting shape, stay sharp, stay ready, keep your reflexes, on point. So I think Joshua Van is going to get this done, and I'm going to take him by decision. Only because I think Royval is such a crafty veteran. It's going to be a close fight. Moving on, we have a lightweight bout between the number 9 ranked Beneil Dariush and the number 10 ranked Renato Moicano. And Moicano is closing in right now as a slight favorite. He has a pretty good record, definitely a submission artist. Moicano has a record of 20-6, 26-1. 2 wins by knockout, 10 by submission, 4 coming in the first round. So we know what Moicano's like on the ground. He's like this is so mean. I love Moicano. I'm a big fan of the guy. He's really, really funny. But he's almost like a dollar store version of Oliveira. Very similar skills as Oliveira, similar striking game, similar ground game, similar takedowns. Very similar to Oliveira, but he's just a little bit of a downgrade in my opinion. We'll get to Oliveira in a second here, but Beneil Dariush, on the other hand, has a record of 22-6, 5 wins by knockout, 8 by submission, and 8 coming in the first round. So he has 8 wins by submission there. That's something to keep note of. Beneil is no slouch on the ground. Don't be thinking that Renato Moicano is going to go in there and submit Beneil Dariush in the first round. I don't think that's going to happen. However, Moicano is very crafty, and he kind of gets his submissions after beating on fighters for a little bit, taking them down, beating them up, or beating them up on the feet, and then finding a submission towards the end of the fight. That's usually how he operates. So I'm going to take a 3rd round submission for Moicano, although I do see this fight most likely going to a decision because they're 2 very high-level fighters. They both have fairly decent chins. Beneil, we know, has a great chin, and yeah, I'm gonna take Moicano by decision though. I just feel like after that Islam fight, going in there very, very short notice, just a couple hours notice I think, or something like that, and then having to get submitted that quickly in the first round. That's got to piss him off, and he's got to be upset about that. And I'm sure he wants to come back and show the fans, show the UFC, he's still one of the top fighters in the division. He's not just a wash, and he's going to go in there and probably look for a finish. So I'm going to take him by 3rd round submission. So let's move on now to one of our title fights. We have 2 title fights on this card. Let's move on to our co-main event. In the co-main event, we have a flyweight title bout between Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France. Pantoja is closing in at a minus 265 favorite currently. That's because he has a record of 29-5, and if you go back and you look at his losses, they were very, very close. A lot of them were very, 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 very close fights. He has 8 wins by knockout, 11 by submission, and 11 wins in the first round. He's an incredibly underrated fighter. He's too low on the pound-for-pound list, in my opinion. I think he should be a lot higher. He doesn't get the respect he deserves. And you know what? Kai Kara-France doesn't always get the respect he deserves because he's an amazing fighter as well. He has a record of 25-11, 12 wins by knockout, 3 by submission, and 13 coming in the first round. Kai Kara-France is an incredibly exciting fighter. He has all the skills to get it done. I hope he puts on a good performance. I hope he gets in there and boxes Pantoja up, maybe wins some rounds, maybe brings it to a decision. But if I'm being completely honest, after watching Pantoja versus Kai Asakura, after watching Pantoja and his last couple defenses that he's had, I think he's just on another level from all of these other flyweights. I don't see really anybody beating him for quite a while. I think he's got 2 or 3 more years on top of that mountain. It's going to be hard to find challenges for him. Maybe some of these up-and-coming fighters like Ray Tetsuya or Tatsuro Taira, Joshua Van, maybe some of these guys can pose a challenge for Pantoja. But at this point, At this point, he has too much fighting experience. He's been in wars with the best guys in the division. He's shown that he can submit guys, knock people out. He's an incredibly intelligent fighter. You know, he's got great defense. He's got power in his hands. He's one of the best submission artists in the entire sport. I truly believe that. And I think he's going to get this done by second round KO or submission. I don't really know. I'm kind of going back and forth on that. I don't know if he's going to knock Kai Kara-France down and then wrap up a submission, or if he's just going to knock him out clean. I don't really know, so I'm going to flip back and forth between that, but I'm going to take a finish for Pantoja, second round. I think it's going to come rather quickly. I thought Kai Asakura was actually going to have more to give Pantoja in that fight, but it wasn't really close at all. He had a couple moments, couple flying knees that looked a little flashy, but really Pantoja controlled that fight. He shut him down, and he found the finish. And that looked like an incredibly mean Pantoja. And if he's anything like he was in his last fight, and he usually improves on his last performances, he usually gets better every fight, I think he's going to go out there and absolutely dominate. So I'm going to take Pantoja, like I said, by second round. I'll go submission for this video, but like I said, I'm swapping back and forth by the hour if I'm going to take him by submission or KO. Let's move on now, though, to the main event, the fight that we've all been waiting for. And now we get into the main event, the fight that we've all been waiting for. Well, maybe not all of us. I think a lot of people wanted the Topuria versus Islam fight. That's really the fight that we wanted. Unfortunately, both Ilia and Islam vacated their belts. They're both moving up. So hopefully Ilia wins, Islam wins, and then we can see them fight each other, maybe at welterweight, maybe at lightweight. I don't know what it's going to be. I think Ilia's a little bit crazy thinking to fight at 170 when he's only 5'7", but we'll see, man. This kid's got incredible confidence. He has the most confidence I've ever seen since Conor McGregor. Since Conor McGregor when he was in his prime and up and coming in the UFC and shit-talking Jose Aldo and Eddie Alvarez and calling the round he was going to knock people out in. I've never seen confidence like that until now. Ilia Topuria is the next coming of Conor McGregor in a lot of ways, and he's a lot more well-rounded, actually. He's probably a better fighter. It's hard to say now because he hasn't had the full career that Conor's had, but I think by the end of it, when it's all said and done, we'll look at Ilia as an even better fighter than Conor McGregor because he has absolutely everything. I know there are some Charles fanboys out there that love Charles Oliveira when he went on that run and beat Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier. And he looked like a world beater. He looked like the best fighter on the planet. Like some people were arguing him to be the pound for pound best fighter and that he should be ranked number one. But unfortunately, I've been watching Ilia since about 2013, 2014. So I've seen his ups and downs. I've seen him quit in fights. I've seen him get chinned. I've seen him get submitted. I've seen him be beaten over and over and over again. I think he's been finished 8 times already in the UFC, which is a lot. And I know he's a different fighter now that he's had his child and he became a champion and he's different now, but I still see that same quitter at times in fights. I still see it. Like that last Chandler fight, the Oliveira versus Chandler 2, there's points where I'm like, okay, you could capitalize here. You can go forward. You know, if you really want this fight, you can take him out now. And he kind of backs off and takes his time. He's also a little bit chinny, right? He can be knocked out. He doesn't have the greatest chin in the world. In fact, I think he has probably one of the weakest chins in the whole division. So all of those things factoring in, I honestly do not see a way that Charles Oliveira can win this fight. I think he gets out-wrestled basically anytime they engage in that because Ilia Topuria is clearly the better wrestler in my opinion. You see him suplexing guys, double leg takedowns. He's got so many tools in his arsenal to get you to the mat, whereas Oliveira is kind of just hoping that you fall on top of him after he gets chinned and knocked down. So I think if it goes to the wrestling, Ilia's clearly got the advantage. I think even if it gets on the ground, the jiu-jitsu, I'm not so convinced that Charles Oliveira is the better jiu-jitsu guy. I know some people are going to be like screaming at me in the comments for that. Like, how could you say that? He has the most submissions in the sport and he submitted all these guys and he submitted this guy and that guy and this guy. But he's also been submitted himself. Ilia's never been submitted. And if you look at Ilia's first 7 fights, they were all by submission. I think 6 of them came in the first round, which is crazy to get submissions that fast. And he used 5 different submissions. So Ilia is a talented submission artist. He's very good on the ground. I think if they did a straight up jiu-jitsu match, people would be surprised at how well Ilia Topuria could dominate Charles Oliveira at pure jiu-jitsu. And then we go to the boxing. We go to the striking, the kickboxing. I don't think that there's any strike that Oliveira can throw better than Ilia, with more power, more precision, more speed. Ilia's got the speed advantage. He has the power advantage. He has the precision advantage. He's a much more technical striker. Oliveira at times gets a little bit sloppy, especially with the boxing. He leaves his hands down. He keeps his head on the center line a little bit too much. So honestly, I think that in just about every single department you can list on paper, Ilia beats Charles at absolutely everything. The only thing that Charles has is the experience and the height and the reach. He's 5'11". Ilia is 5'7", but that never got into Ilia's way when he fought Max Holloway. You know, Oliveira and Holloway are the same height. So I don't think it's going to be an issue for Ilia. He might have some trouble finding the distance, but he found it on Max, and nobody's been able to do that before. Nobody's knocked Max Holloway out, and Topuria found it. He found the kill shot. So I think he's going to find it even faster against a guy who's not as good of a striker. Oliveira, in my eyes, is a much less talented striker than Max Holloway was. So I honestly see Ilia landing his first clean hook and knocking Charles Oliveira out. And I think it's going to come in the first round. It might come in the second round, but I'm going to go round 1 KO. And you guys can argue with me in the comments if you guys want. We can go back and forth on it, but I do not see any way Charles can win this fight. It's reminding me of like the Khabib and Conor fight, because going into that, Conor had all the hype. Everybody knew Conor's name. Khabib, lesser known. And people still thought Conor could win that fight. But going into it, I was telling everybody, I'm like, bet your house on Khabib. There's no way Conor can win. There's just no way. He's going to get taken down and he's going to get mauled. Khabib's way stronger. Khabib's undefeated. Like, all these things were stacking up in my mind. And I was like, there's no way Conor's going to win. And then the fight played out and he barely won 1 round, right? So I have the same feeling for this fight. I love Topuria. I'm a huge fan of the guy. I've been watching Oliveira way longer. I also like Oliveira, but I'm huge on Topuria right now because I've been watching him I've been watching his rise and him come up in the UFC, and I've been watching what he's been doing to people. And obviously we all saw what he did last year to 2 of the greatest featherweight champions of all time, knocking both of them out. I don't see anybody stopping him at this point, especially at 145 and 155. I thought maybe he should go down to 135 and do those 3 belts, but he wants to do 170. At 170, I can see people beating him because there will be guys who are 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2", a lot taller, a lot more strong than Topuria. They're going to be able to outmuscle him in the clinch. They might be able to outstrike him by having superior reach advantages. I believe in Topuria. I think this kid's confident for a reason. I truly believe he can do anything, but I think that there comes a limit when you're 5'7". I think welterweight's a little bit too big for somebody at that height, but we'll see what he does. We'll see what he does Saturday. Obviously, he has to get through Oliveira first, and this is a very crafty veteran fighter who's been in the UFC since I think he was 19, and he's been, choking out absolutely everybody in this division. So we'll see how it plays out. But I'm just saying, for you Oliveira fanboys out there, I would not place money on your guy. I don't think that there's any chance that he can win this fight. I truly think that this fight is a lock. I rarely say that because fights can go any way. But I think if there is a fight this year that is 100% set in stone before it happens, I think it's Oliveira by not Oliveira by knockout. Oliveira fans would like that. I think it's Topuria by knockout, and I'm going to go with round 1 because I think as soon as he lands his hook, it's going to be over. I don't think Oliveira has a chin to take more than 1 of those hooks. They're pretty damn vicious. I would hate to take 1 of those. You see the way Ilia Topuria rips those body shots when he punches fans, and they fall to the ground and they're just done for the day. He's got some of the nicest hooks in the sport and in the history of the sport, to be honest. He really strikes like a boxer. It's beautiful to watch. So we'll see what kind of performance he puts on. Obviously, Topuria, I should go over their records quickly. 16-0, we all know that. 6 wins by knockout, 8 by submission, 9 first-round finishes. an incredible record, and it's only going to get better over time. I honestly do not see him losing for a long, long time. It could be 6 or 7 years, maybe 8 years until this guy actually gets a loss. He's so damn talented. On the other hand, we have Charles Oliveira, Du Bronx, who is 35-10. 10 wins by knockout and 21 wins by submission. So obviously 30 plus finishes. He's going to go down as one of the greatest fighters of all time. I'm sure he'll get into the Hall of Fame. He's had so many amazing fights. He could finish absolutely anybody on the roster. But like I said before, he's got a weak chin. We know that. He's been stopped 8 times. I think he's been beaten 10 times, right? So it's going to be tough for him to get through a guy that is as high level as Topuria. But we'll see how it plays out. Again, I'm not the biggest Oliveira fan. I wish I was, and I was like rooting for the underdog here, but I'm rooting for the favorite. I really like Ilia Topuria. I like the way he conducts himself. I like the confidence that he has. I love the way he fights. He's incredibly entertaining. He can do absolutely everything at the highest level, so it's beautiful to watch. He's like another GSP, a mini GSP almost in a way, and I hope he gets this done by knockout. I hope he gets this done in devastating fashion, gets it done by first round KO, and then the UFC goes, damn, maybe we should do the Bernabeu, because I would love to see the UFC in the Bernabeu. I would probably sell one of my organs to go and watch that fight, because 100,000 people in a stadium, or is it 80,000, I think it is? Maybe they can fit 100,000 if they have the floor too, but 100,000 people in a stadium to watch UFC, that'd be a moment I would not want to miss. So I hope that happens for Topuria and his fan base, and we'll see how that one plays out. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you guys have Oliveira sneaking this out by a submission? Do you have him knocking out Ilia? I don't think anybody has that happening. But let me know what you guys think of that fight. Let me know what you guys think of the co-main event too. Do you think Kai Kara-France can get it done against Pantoja? Because I could be wrong in that one. I just think Pantoja is so high level right now that nobody's going to stop him. But Kara-France he's a real threat. So let me know what you guys think about those fights and all the other fights down below in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends to help boost this channel and the algorithm. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, it means the absolute world to me. I will catch you guys in the next one. Enjoy the fights. Peace.